Hi there, I'm Sian Holderness, and welcome to Health Unravelled. I'm a nutritionist, counsellor, and eating psychology coach, and in my almost decade of experience in the health industry, have seen far too many women and men become consumed with weight loss, only to end up yo-yo dieting with disordered eating patterns and impinge and restrict cycles. This just breaks my heart, so I'm here to unravel everything you thought you knew about health and yourself, to help you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together and begin the process of aligning your mind, body, and soul, creating a happier, healthier you. So let's dive straight in. Hello, welcome back, and thank you so much for being here. Before I get started with this week's card reading, I'd really love to invite you to do two things. One of those would be I would love to invite you into SelfHonor School. SelfHonor School is a free Facebook group that I have. It's packed full of amazing content, modules, guides, worksheets. I go live in there every now and then. You get to do like a weekly check-in with me where I ask you how your week's been or how can I support you. And this is all absolutely free. So if you would love to join, and I would love to have you there, there will be a link in the show notes. Just click on that, answer the couple of questions, and I will lovingly welcome you into that beautiful space. The second thing I'm going to ask for you to do is to leave me a review. You can put the 5 stars or however many stars you feel I deserve, as well as a couple of comments about how you find this podcast and what you hopefully love about it. These reviews play a significant role in helping me build traction with this podcast. And because I'm not funded, I don't have sponsored ads or anything like that. It's just me here with my laptop and my microphone. Those kind of things make the world of difference. So I'd love for you to pause this right now and leave me a little review. Please be honest. Your honesty is important to me, and I will love to be able to read them. Now, this week's card I pulled from the Work Your Light Oracle cards, and I pulled Pillar of Light, and it says, your vibration is raising. You are the oracle. You are heaven and earth in a perfect expression, a conduit for the light of the heavens to the earth. You are the rainbow bridge. Take time to meditate. Imagine yourself as a pillar of light, connecting the light of the heavens above with the earth. As the light shines through each of your chakras, you activate the rainbow bridge that many ancient scriptures speak about, raising your vibration and the vibration of the planet. Linking the higher realms of the cosmos, guides, angels, and spirit with the ancient wisdom keepers and beings of the planet Earth. They dance together through you. They sing together through you. Without your body, voice, and creations, neither can be expressed. For too long, we've been taught that God is outside of us, giving away our power to angels and spirit guides. But without you, they do not have a voice. You are the oracle. Do not look for guidance outside, for you hold all of the wisdom of this entire universe in the portal of your heart, in every cell of your body. Do not see the angels and guides as above you, for without you, they have no way of communicating. You are the oracle. You are the rainbow bridge. You are the pillar of light. I allow the light of the heavens and the light of the earth to flow through me now. I activate the codes of remembering within my cells and chakras. I activate my system as a rainbow bridge between heaven and earth. How beautiful is that? And I've been doing a lot of journaling this week around that exact concept, around the ability to gain clarity for me to trust in my message and what needs to be said and what needs to be heard and how I can best help and serve. And if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen I posted a story about how I actually completely removed social media off of my main phone, and I set up an old phone, which I now call a work phone, that has all my social media on it, because I felt like social media for me was causing a debris in that ability to provide messages, in that clarity that I really want to have when I come here. As I said, I don't plan these things. I just turn the microphone on and I just talk, because I want to tune into what needs to be heard and what messages need to be transmitted through me, essentially. Now, if you're not a woo-woo person, I apologize. I am. And that kind of comes into what I want to talk about today, which is conscious versus logical. Are you conscious or logical or emotional? Now, this is a concept I designed to help me understand the kind of clients that I've worked with over time. And I break them down into two categories. I break them down into into logical and emotional. And I've realized that I always assumed that conscious and logical was one and the same, but I've realized that it's actually not. The reason being, let me explain, is that if you are an emotional person, emotional decisions tend to be made on a whim, and it's instant gratification. It's what we need right now, and it's very highly emotionally based. And that's why sometimes doing things consistently can be hard, because our emotions change so rapidly. And so therefore our actions are going to differ based on our thoughts differing and our emotions differing. So we're never going to be able to remain consistent if we're a fully emotional person. When we're a logical person, we do what makes sense. So this equals that, therefore that's what I'm going to do. And I know over time I've worked with so many clients who are highly emotional. They're in a highly emotional state. They're making highly emotional decisions, but they've previously been coached by someone who's insanely logical, like so logical that emotional decisions do not make sense to them. And I realized that that was a big gap in this industry, especially because the fitness industry and the health industry have merged in together and they're not the same. Activity, sure, is an aspect of health, but fitness and health are not the same thing. And the fitness industry is full of athletes, and athletes tend to be very logical people because they have to do what makes sense to improve their performance or physique or whatever it may be. But then they're in this position of authority where people who are making very emotional decisions are coming to them to seek help. But someone who's so logical may not actually have an understanding or comprehension of how emotions can play a role in someone's decisions. And that is very, very, very dangerous territory. If you think of the whole be more disciplined, just do it, work harder, that's a logical person trying to motivate an emotional person, and those two things are never going to create success. Now, I used to think that consciousness was more logical, but I've realized that actually conscious decisions are a combination of logical and emotional, because if you're all in logical, then actually you're in some sense dissociating from emotions. And a lot of logical people, it's not that they don't have emotions, it's just that they're not expressing them. And if emotions don't get expressed, they get stored and held, and they will crack in some way or another. They will come out in some aspect at some point in time. So when you're looking at someone, and we tend to admire logical people because they can create success, whether it's financial, in business, in health, in their physique, they can make that success very quickly. But you will find there will be some kind of gap there because we have to feel emotions. So those emotions will find some way of showing themselves in some way, shape, or form. So whether that is through potentially like emotional eating, potentially through completely dissociating from emotions, potentially then that can come back at some point in time, really, really overwhelming. So conscious decisions are a combination. Now, I want you to visualize a gradient scale. Actually, I want to visualize two gradient scales where they are facing each other and then merge them into one. So if you've got two gradient scales, you've got the high end on your left hand and the high end on your right hand, and each one has a gradient coming down from it. And then you merge them together. This is what we have with conscious and logical. So you can be logical and emotional. You can be fully logical with no emotion, which is very disordered. And then you can have a gradient where you're mostly logical but somewhat emotional, all the way through to the middle ground, and then back up where you're becoming more emotional and less logical, all the way to the other end of the scale where you're fully emotional and there's no logic, again, which is disordered. That's where we find on both ends of those scales, that's where we find some kind of disorder in some way, shape, or form in that person's life. Now, if we look at conscious, we're actually going to that center point where we have that equal balance of emotional responses and logical responses, and we're going up. So if you get to the middle of that place and then you go up, that is where consciousness is. It's that blend of emotion and logic. It's the ability to feel, understand, be aware, be curious of our emotions, but also have that logic and that long-term gratification as opposed to instant gratification, of knowing what makes sense but honoring your needs at the same time. That is where we find that centerpiece of conscious decision making, which is an absolute pillar that I use. It's pivotal in transforming a person's relationship with food and relationship with themselves, because you cannot change your relationship with food without looking within. And so conscious decisions is something that I speak to my clients about all the time. It's not about being logical and pushing your emotions aside. And it's not about being emotional and pushing your logic aside. It's about being able to combine the two of them in harmony and create decisions from that place of harmony between logic and emotions. And powerful, powerful things happen from that beautiful place. And if anything, I'd love for this to help you play an awareness when you're looking around you, when you're looking at people on your social media, when you're looking at families, members or friends, and you're comparing yourself to what they have. I'd love for you to be curious about how much of their decisions are emotional and how much of their decisions are logical. And in fact, then what we can sometimes see is that what we see as success isn't actually success. Because if we're not working from that conscious place, if we're not moving from that conscious place, if we're not making decisions from that more conscious place, we're going to actually be taking ourselves further away from self-actualization. And for most of us, it's that self-actualization that we really want. It's that inner peace, that harmony, that balance, that understanding, that level of consciousness. And so it can be really misleading when you're looking at someone who's very, very logical, because oftentimes it's the emotional end of the scale that gets looked down upon. But in fact, the logical end of the scale can be equally as detrimental to our progress, because if we don't feel those emotions, if we don't recognize them, if we push them aside away from our logic, they're going to find some way to express themselves at some point in time. We just might not be seeing it now. So I'm going to leave it at that for today. I can't wait to see you over in SelfHonor School. I'm so excited to see you and serve you more in that space. And until next time. If you loved this episode, please let me know by leaving me a review or sharing this with your friends. It's so important for me to get this information out to those that need to hear it. So your feedback means the absolute world to me. And also, if you have any topic requests, hit me up with them too.